Well, when I first saw it, I must say my immediate reaction was, it's cute, it's different, it's brave. The lines are something I think that will grow on one. I can see the practicality of it because it looks as though it should be smooth and penetrate the air well, and it probably does. And because of that, I find that quite acceptable, because it is unique. When you look at certain things, you think, well, why are there so many rounds and circles and so on? But a lot of them make sense, and I think as these make more sense, I think one can begin to appreciate what it's all about. It surprises me that Ford were courageous enough to say, okay, let's go into production, a big production with such a unique car. But then one thinks back when Alex Agonis came along with his little box on wheels, the Mini, and you can see why obviously it did pay off. And I think this is a car that is nothing like the Mini, except it is small. But when you're inside, it has a fairly large feeling. It's small in overall dimension, but not when you get in, because it is a four-seater. People may squeeze many more in. I'm sure students will get God knows how many inside. But in principle, it is a four-seater, which I think is much nicer. A very good idea. Right, well, now I'm in the car, getting myself comfortable with the seat, get fairly well back, and yes, and now I'm reasonably well fixed. Got to do up the seat belt here, and okay, let's start it up. Very quick to start, actually, very easy to start, and take first gear, and off we go. Right. Smooth engine, quiet, willing, not powerful, but quite good. Lovely gearbox, I must say. The gearbox is really very silky, which is terrific, because you do need to use it. If you want to get the thing really moving, you do need to use it, and it is a delight. Having said that, if you don't, it still pulls very well in not necessarily top gear. It's got quite a lot of torque, so if people aren't willing to change gear, they don't have to worry too much about that. Now we're going along, impressive, very little road noise and very, very little wind noise. I mean, I'm now doing nearly 40 actually, and well, I can't hear the wind noise at all. Engine noise, not too intrusive, right? Stopping, light on the brakes, quite powerful. Steering, as I said, is absolutely superb. The steering is power steering, which you don't notice is power until you start to steer it. In other words, it's no wander, and there's no kickback or anything like that, and it's quite light and not too light. The gear change is absolutely lovely, I must say. You can change gear without the clutch if you need to. Visibility is quite good. I can't see the front wings, but it doesn't worry me. I've got quite a lot of room. I've got loads of headroom. I mean, I could wear a top hat, but I'm not very big. I'll be interested to see what I get to the gallon, because it's the sort of car that you want to have a little go with. I mean, you don't cruise along and make it slog. It's much more fun to zip it up through the gears because of this lovely gearbox and the smooth engine. So I'll be interested to see what I get to the gallon. I'm inclined to think I'll probably be around 30, which is exceptionally good for me. But I'll tell you what I am impressed with, which goes for town and outside, of course, and that is the accuracy of the steering. And the speed of the steering, it is exceptionally nice, I must say. If I want to change lanes and so on, I've got the feeling of when I pull the car over to the right to get into the right, it goes exactly where I want it to go, which is very nice. The ride is very comfortable. It's amazing. It's reasonably firm without being harsh, and it doesn't wallow around. And when you pull it tightly around a corner, which I've tried a couple of times around a roundabout, very little lean, very, very little lean. Obviously, you get the lateral G, but the car seems to hold it very well. The ergonomic layout is exceptional to my mind, and there are so many things which, when you get into the car, you begin to appreciate as you drive it. The only thing that I have against from the outside, if you like, really is that the luggage boot could be larger. Looking at the car from the front, I must admit, the headlights are really rather like go with pretty eyes. They're really quite different. It sort of says something, and it's attractive. I think it's quite cute. One of the big novelties of this car is there are so many places to put little bits and pieces, which I thought was rather nice. I mean, very, very cleverly worked out. Or little cubby holes here and places for things like thermos flasks and other bits and pieces all over the place. I think it really is very, very useful from that point of view. One thing that did amuse me actually was you've got a really clear view of the instruments. Instruments only just plural, the other ones you know how much fuel there is, which is important, but importantly you can read the speedometer very easily. It's got a zeroable trip, which is good, but that's all they tell you, that and the time. If anything goes wrong with the engine, I'm sure that one of the coloured lights would come up and tell you you need a new engine. But being a bit of an enthusiast, I must admit I do like to have a few more gauges, maybe an oil pressure so I can see if the oil pressure is going down, or a water gauge. Now, the other good feature, very, very good feature on this one, it happened to have air conditioning on this model, but even without, the vents are very clever. You can switch them off very easily by just turning, and then you turn them round so that the air comes out, and then it's very easy to adjust it so you get the air where you want it. They've done a very clever thing with space in front of the passenger. You've got a little area, but this is beneath where the optional airbag goes. You've got a little area there where if you push down on one side of it, it turns round and you've got a slot into which you can put things like discs and so on. You go one more quarter revolution and you push a button. The top of the cubbyhole, if you like, opens up and there's space there for sunglasses or bits and pieces. Not maps, but the maps, of course, you can put in the door. The seats are comfortable, give good grip, and yet you can see that they would obviously take a smaller or larger person because they're easy to adjust. I think the interior of the car gives a feeling of being fairly large. It is not in any way made small. It's quite airy. I could quite easily see this becoming a cult car, rather like the Mini did, and because people get ideas, and I think A, the price is right. B, it is fun to drive. It's got a good turning circle, it's roomy, comfortable, and a very practical type of car. The luggage space is restricted because it's not that big, but having said that, you can fold the rear seats forward individually or both of them, and obviously increase the accommodation quite a bit. So I would have thought this is a car that will go from all sorts of people, those that can just barely afford to pay more because they're buying it for the price. Equally, I think that people with quite a lot more money will buy it because of A, its cuteness, and B, its drivability, and it's fun to take out on the road. It's a car that I think if one gets into the hills or a place with lots of corners and so on, we're really, it'd be quite exhilarating. I think it's a car that it's a driver's car. Having said that, it's a car that is quite easy to manoeuvre. It's got quite a good turning circle, so you can park it. You can select first gear while on the move if you want to. I think Ford are going to be proud of this because it's cute, and I'm sure it's going to be a winner because it's fun and it does the trick.